Okay. Right. Okay. Well, good morning again, and thank you for joining us online today. I'm Anne-Marie Arbagy. I'm a member of CPIC, which is the Caisse de retraite des interprètes de conférence. And we are an interpreters retirement fund. It's a customized retirement fund, specially developed by interpreters, for interpreters, and serving interpreters better than anyone else. What is SPEAK? On the 15th of February 1970, a group of interpreters created CPIC with a commitment of funding by several international organizations. The interpreters knew exactly what they wanted from a retirement fund when they opened it. They wanted to be a complement to their national mandatory scheme, but they also wanted the freedom to contribute when they wanted, the amount they could spare, and they wanted to be free from any mandatory payment or contribution which you make to an insurance company, for instance. And they wanted also not to have to pay a specific sum on their expenses. The interpreters who created CPIC wanted to be beneficiaries, but they also wanted to be owners of the fund. They wanted to be the decision makers of the fund. And they wanted a fund that was a non-for-profit institution distributing the whole performance of the investments to them and to no one else. Thus, CPIC became the first ever pension fund specially set up by interpreters for interpreters. A fund that knew exactly what the life of an interpreter was like, and a fund that could answer their real needs. They wanted a retirement fund that was serving them, nobody else. And CPIC has been serving interpreters for 55 years today. To make sure they were in control of their fund, the interpreters decided to set up two statutory bodies, the General Assembly and the Foundation Board. The General Assembly is the supreme body of CPIC. It meets once a year to take stock of the work done during the past year by the Secretariat, by the board, and by the banks, whose representatives we meet twice a year as a board, but whom the General Assembly also meets every year. And the General Assembly can ask all the questions it wants to the board. To the banks and the board, of course. The General Assembly votes on all important questions. It makes suggestions on the way forward, and it keeps interpreters' interests at heart. Since COVID, the General Assembly, which meets in person, has started offering the interpreters the possibility to join online. So wherever you are on this planet, you can join the General Assembly of CPIC once a year. The General Assembly meets physically either in Paris or in Brussels. We have had occasions when we met in Geneva because of some changes that required to have a Swiss notary present. So to make, sorry, I went too fast. So the foundation board is made up of 5 members, 4 of whom are interpreters, and the 5th is a resident in Switzerland. It's a person who has wide experience in pension funds and in banking. The board's responsibility includes administering the fund, supervising the financial management. The board, as I was telling you earlier on, meets twice a year with the banks and sets the general lines of the investment strategy. But the strategy as such is not done by the interpreters. It is organized by the bank. Now, for day-to-day management of CPIC, we have a secretariat. This secretariat is there to support interpreters. We have a director and 2 assistants. They don't only take care of all the administrative work, but they also offer a customized service to the interpreters. So anytime you call them or write to them, they will answer you specifically to your question. They won't just give you general ideas. And with the day-to-day management is also organized by the banks. We have 2 Swiss banks, Lombard Odier, which is based in Geneva, and Fontobel Asset Management, which is based in Zurich. Now, who monitors SPIC? SPIC is monitored first and foremost by the General Assembly, which means by us, the interpreters who are members. But it's also monitored by the ASFIP, which is a Swiss Provident Fund supervisory authority. All provident funds have to abide by the rules of the Swiss retirement laws and also have to be controlled by the Swiss Provident Fund Supervision Authority. We also have an external auditor, and this external auditor is PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, all the information I'm giving you, and I will be giving you throughout my presentation, you can find on our website, CPIC at cpic.ch. Now, who can join SPIC? I guess that this is more interesting to you. Basically, all conference interpreters can join SPIC. Real interpreters, no, not phony interpreters, of course. They can be freelancers. They can be staff interpreters. We have quite a few staff interpreters in our ranks who either joined when they were freelancers and who remained because they were very satisfied with the offer SPIC gave to them. And we also have staff interpreters that have joined them after becoming staff interpreters because they noticed that SPIC was a very good solution to those people who were looking to diversify their investments. So CPIC welcomes beginners, seasoned interpreters, AIIC members, and non-AIIC members. And why do I say non-AIIC members? Because when you're a beginner in interpretation, you can't be AIIC because you have to have done a certain number of days to become an AIIC member. And of course, the earlier you join, the better for you. And you can stay till you're 70 years old. 70 years old is the bar set by the Swiss authorities for all retirement funds. You can't stay longer than 70 years, at least not today. If they change the law, that may change as well. How do you build up your capital? You do so by contributing to the fund. You either have your employers contribute or you can make personal contributions. And you also benefit and build up your capital at SPIC through the performance of the investments done by our 2 banks, after deduction of the expenses that have always been less than 1% of the fortune, one of the best results on the market. The CPIC ancestors or dinosaurs, whatever you want to call them, thought it wise to buy a building at the time they set up SPIC. And this building has a value today of 13.5 million Swiss francs. The value of the building is integrated in the value of your shares in SPIC. How do contribution works? The organizations that have helped set up SPIC at the beginning contribute, and more, of course, than those that help set up the organization at the beginning, contribute by paying a share of your income, of your daily income, to the SPIC. Those organizations are the European Commission, the European Parliament, the European Court of Human Rights, the Council of Europe, the European Space Agency, the World Customs Organization. So those organizations, whom you work for or not, will be paying for every day you work for them. They will deduct an amount from your take-home pay, and they will also add an amount as an employer. If we take the case of the European Union, for instance, the European Union employee share represent 16.5% of the gross salary. Sorry, I'll correct myself. A bit too much noise around me. So the employees' shares at the European Union is 16.5% of the gross salary of the interpreters' share. And the interpreter's share is 8.25% of the gross salary, which means that 24.75% of your gross salary will be paid for every day of work you do at the retirement fund. Though out of those 24.75%, the 16.5% paid by the employer are added to your salary. They are not deducted from your salary. Now, for those of you who work for the United Nations, the United Nations will only pay the employee's share. And this employee share varies from organization to organization. And we also have some interpreters that have managed to convince their private employers to pay a sum for retirement in CPIC, which we, of course, accept. Now, if you do not work for those organizations, you do pay a personal contribution. This personal contribution can go up to 46% euros or Swiss francs per year, because we do work with the two currencies. We have euros and Swiss francs. Now, everything you or your employer put into Speak goes to your personal account. We know that interpreters have an intermittent working condition. That's why you will never be pressed to chip in Speak. But of course, the more you contribute and the longer you contribute, the bigger the sum you'll get when you leave. How do investments work for Speak? The funds of Speak are managed by our two banks that have different investment strategies in order to benefit from positive growth of the markets whilst reducing the risks for the beneficiaries in case of market failure. Lombard-Odier is in charge of the prudent strategy and Fontobel Asset Management of the active strategy. The blend has been very positive for interpreters, and if we look at the latest figures of the performance on an annualized basis, the main share, which we have at Speak, and which exists since 1973, has been 5.43%, which means that any person who joined Speak since 1973, but there aren't many of those left, any person has known an increase of the value of their portfolio by 5.43% every year. Very few funds can boast that. And the cherry on the cake is that all this performance is exempted from tax. So during all the time your money is at Speak and is invested for Speak, it grows and it is not taxed. By being united as interpreters in the same fund, we have the strength to increase our fortune, and we benefit from very good leverage on our banks, since we can negotiate reductions in all the fees, and we all benefit from the good performance, yet each and every one of us keeps his own portfolio. So every money I put in will be for me, and every money you put in will be for you. We are fully transparent, and all the figures, all the information are available on our website. We're not only an investment fund, but we are also a fund that has ethics. We work for performance, but we also work for ethics. Speak is fully compliant with the Swiss laws on retirement funds, and it has proven its worth and its good governance in a comparative study of 50 similar funds, where it ranked in the top 3 best in class, and it has been doing so since we've been checked in this comparative fund. Our motto is to serve a decent retirement capital to the beneficiaries, but this is not done at all costs or at any cost. And for over 25 years, the members of SPEAK have insisted on having a positive impact on the environment, on the working conditions of all, on governance. And the interpreters of SPEAK were amongst the pioneers who demanded green investments from their banks before those green investments or ESG or whatever became a trend. We have also developed an ESG charter with our banks, and they have to abide by it. SPEAK has also joined Ethos, which is a Swiss foundation for sustainable development, a groupment of 220 institutional investors that work for a sustainable development of the society as a whole. Now, let's look at how your portfolio works. You know that your retirement is made up of the capital of your contributions, but it's also made up of the performance of the investments, and your portfolio also includes the value of the building we have. Once the money comes in to speak for you, and I'd like to indicate here that each and everyone has a specific account with a specific number, so all the money sent for you or which you send will be sent to your own personal account. We invest in two currencies. We invest in Swiss francs, and we also invest in because traditionally we were a Swiss franc based in Geneva as an organization, but we noticed a few years later that there were so many members that worked in the Euroland that we had to open up a Euro segment for them. So we have two growth segments, the segment A, which is the growth segment in euros, and the segment C, which is the growth segment in Swiss francs. Those two segments are geared to long-term performance. They benefit from the investments of the two banks, or the value of the building. And when you reach the age of 55, you can choose to subscribe or not. This is entirely up to you. You can choose to subscribe to segment B, which is the conservative segment. The aim of which is to protect your assets from short-term volatility the closer you get to retirement age. And if you visit our website, you can find all those figures, and you can also find a savings calculator, which will tell you if you have this much, your money will grow by this much, and how much you can expect reasonably to get when you retire. And if for whatever reason you decide to change jobs and become a teacher, a painter, a beekeeper, or whatever, or nothing, and stop working, you can still remain in SPEAK as a beneficiary till retirement age, which is between 60 and 70. And all interpreters based in any company, in any country, are allowed to join SPEAK. I just saw that there was a note about Americans. So during your whole stay at SPEAK, your money, you will be receiving every quarter a statement which describes the amounts you have, who sent you the money, and the number of shares you have, A shares, C shares, or B shares, and the value of those shares. And if, for instance, there's money that arrives which is not of the value of a share, it will remain temporarily in your account as cash and be transformed into a share once you've got the proper amount for a share to have. So the total sum of your assets will be presented in your portfolio, and you will also find on the portfolio a graph with the evolution of your portfolio over the past 10 years. We don't only offer investments and retirement, we also offer group insurance. The group insurance is optional, and you can choose to join. And our optional group insurance is group negotiated, so you've got interesting rates, and it covers both disability and death. And the amounts of your policy will be deducted from your fortune at CPIC. How do you enjoy a well-deserved retirement? When all is well and done, you'll be entitled to live a happy life ever after interpretation. You have three ways of enjoying this hard-earned fruit, the hard-earned fruits of your work and your hours spent in a booth or outside of a booth. You can take your capital, as a capital, you can opt for a pension fund, so you get a life annuity, and you can also choose a mix of the two. And the life annuity can be reversible or not. And you do not have to decide a year ahead of time or 6 months ahead of time how you leave. The day you leave, you send your instructions to the secretariat, who will organize your retirement. That way, you will enjoy a better life. And if for some reason, once you reach the age of 70, which is the cut point, as I've told you earlier on, and you've forgotten that you've got golden eggs waiting for you at CPIC, CPIC will remind you after your 70th birthday that you have money and will ask you, what are the instructions? How do you want your money back? If you leave in capital, the withholding tax will be paid at the source to the Swiss tax authorities by CPIC. And if you live in a country that has a non-double taxation agreement with Switzerland, you can get that amount back once you have declared your income to your own tax authorities. Now, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. We would like to.
So I was saying earlier on that you can leave in capital, you take your money. You can also leave in annuities. And contrary to CPIT, who pays the annuities to the beneficiaries, CPIC does not. The money is transferred to the Rente Genevoise, which is an institution guaranteed by the state of Geneva, which will be paying the annuities to you, which means that there is no bearing on all the beneficiaries of your departure. We will not have to reduce by a percentage point or half of whatever. If you have 100,000 you put in the Rente Genevoise, you'll be getting your annuity from the Rente Genevoise, and all the other people who stay, who are younger than you, will not have to cover those expenses. You leave between the age of 60 and 70. We have two types of retirement. You either get a full retirement once you leave. You can have a full pension, an annuity paid by the Rente Genevoise, or if you decide between the ages of 60 and 70 to slow down the pace, you can get a partial retirement, which will be paid by the Rente Genevoise. You are entitled to transfer between 30 and 50% of your capital to the Rente Genevoise, who will immediately start paying you an annuity, either in euros or in Swiss francs as well. That's a choice which is very important for people who do not live in Switzerland. Now, what happens if, God forbids, you left this planet or the earth before collecting your money? CPIC will, on a regular basis, remind the beneficiaries to fill up a beneficiary clause. And if you have not sent your beneficiary clause, if you haven't renewed it, if you've never made one, we will be looking for your beneficiaries, we'll be looking for your spouses, your children, your parents, your cousins, whatever. But you cannot leave your money to an association, you cannot leave money to your dog or your cat. I'll give you a quick figures before I end. We were set up in 1970. So we've been serving interpreters for over 55 years. We have over 2,200 members, and all of those are interpreters. The number of people benefiting from an annuity are 228, and they cost 0 penny to the rest of the community. Our invested capital is today over 325 million euros, plus over 12 million Swiss francs, plus the value of the building, which is today 13.5 million Swiss francs. All the information is on the website. So quickly, 10 good reasons to choose Speak. The benefits are designed specifically for interpreters. We keep the interpreters' benefits at heart. Speak has proven to be a robust, reliable, transparent, non-for-profit fund. We have a team to assist you. It brings added value. The team is not only our secretariat, but it's also the members of the board who you can contact at any time. We have great flexibility with regards to the contributions. You can pay whenever you want, how much ever you want, but the more you pay, the more you get. You're free to choose your growth strategy. You can have a protected strategy or a growth strategy, and you can choose also your currency. You can choose the way you retire, cash, annuity, or a mix of both. You can be covered by a death or invalidity insurance. You are part of the General Assembly as soon as you join Speak. You make suggestions and you take decisions. And the additional +1 is the fact that you are exempt, your money is exempted from taxes throughout the time it stays in Speak. So if you make 20% this year, or 12% or 5%, there will be no tax on that. For more information, you can see the website. You can contact our secretariat. You can contact the members of the board. I'm Anne-Marie Arbagisfer, Valentina de Gironcourt, and I am the member for France with Stefka Ivanova. Valentina de Gironcoli, who's with us, is the member for Brussels, Belgium, and Françoise Landgraf is our member in Geneva. So thank you all. Sorry for all the mix-up, but I'm always very perturbed when there's a lot of noise around. And